All right, cool. Bro, thank you for doing this.
Nah, thank you, bro. Appreciate it.
I just want to start by saying I really appreciate you for opening up your gym to me. You are extremely humble. Very cool guy, very nice guy.
I appreciate that.
Usually when you come into people's gyms, you know, they look at you kind of crazy, look at you sideways, you know what I mean? They kind of look at you up and down, and they give you it can give you like a weird vibe, you know what I mean? But as soon as I walked in, coach right here, I forgot what his name was.
Eric, yeah.
Eric, yeah, he greeted me, seemed real cool. Then right off the back, I talked to you, and you just, immediately I was like, hey, I fuck with this gym, you know what I'm saying?
I appreciate that.
Right
man.
off the bat, before I even trained. And then we started training, and he had some good moves, and you a real go-getter, bro. You're a real fighter, man.
Thank you, man.
You're a coach too, you know. You're amazing, bro, and I appreciate you. So, tell me who you are.
My name is Abel Gonzalez. I'm a upcoming 168 prospect, and I'm just working, chasing a dream.
Okay, cool. And what's this gym here that we're at right
So
now?
we've been here about 11 years. It's Kangaroo Boxing Gym in Hialeah, Florida. Yeah, man, we've been out here for about 10, 11 years now, just building up champions, keeping kids off the street, just keeping everybody busy, including myself.
Okay, cool. You from Florida, or where you from?
I was born and raised in Las Vegas, Nevada. I moved down here when I was about 15. And then I moved back to Vegas when I was about 20. And then I've been back here since about 22 years old.
Okay. So tell me about your upbringing in Las Vegas.
So Vegas is, you know, my dad lived out here. I grew up out there. Vegas is what everybody claims it to be, you know. It's a good city, I guess. It's a melting pot, different people, but it is trouble, you know. Since a young age, kids are smoking weed. They're outside at a young age, and since it's so small, and it's kind of a bullshit city, especially was back then, you know, the graduation rate was about 60-70% of all the kids out there. So, you know, I was getting into a little bit of trouble with my mom. I got sent to opportunity school. And my mom saw that I wasn't upset about going to the opportunity school because I had all my friends there. I was excited, you know. So, oh, it's fine, it's easier, you don't gotta do it. And my mom was like, nah, you're going with your dad. So I was like, damn, because I know my dad was strict. And that's exactly what I needed at that age, you know, my dad to get me in a straight line. And that's what happened, you know. He opened up this gym for me, forever grateful. And we just been working since then, you know.
So your mom sent you to go live with your dad?
Yeah.
Damn. So how long they been, if you don't mind me asking?
So I never really seen them together as a kid, you know. So I was about 2 years old, they already separated. So I grew up with the stepfather out there, and you know, we stayed in contact. He wasn't present. He was just over here to bring his family back from Cuba. So it's a lot easier since it's right here to right there, Cuba and Florida.
Yeah. Okay. Do you feel like there's a difference between like, I guess, having a stepdad and having a dad, or how has that? Because I asked that because I didn't grow up with my pop. So every time I meet people that, you know, have something like that, I'm always curious just to.
Well, I mean, for me, since I didn't have it at a young age, I didn't really feel much of it. I just thought it was the norm. You know what I mean? It was kind of just normal for me. But, you know, growing up, you see people with their mom and dad together, you kind of want that yourself. So, I mean, when I'm older, I want my kids to have a mom and dad in the same household and stuff.
Was your stepdad cool?
He was cool. You know, different culture from what my dad is. My dad's Cuban, very family-like. I'm not saying all Mexicans like that, Mexicans aren't, but he's very to himself. You know, so it's like he doesn't like having company over. My dad was always, you know, making dinners, cousins, everybody always at the house, sorry. And so he was very more, you know, laid back. He was a soccer player. He played for a Mexican team out there. So he was very disciplined, dedicated. I got a lot of good things from him as well.
Okay, cool. So your mom sent you to live with your dad. You with him now. How did your life change after that, if it did?
Well, I mean, for me, it changed a lot. And, you know, like my dad played a role of like a sergeant, which I needed at that moment. I was a loose screw, you know, very, very just outgoing in the sense of not doing the right things. You know, so I was always in somewhat trouble, talking back to teachers, this, that. And my dad knew that from everything my mom tells him. You know, they talk on the phone. Oh, Abel's bullshitting. You know, Abel's this. He's getting in trouble. So when I came over here, I didn't get that. You know, like I got tough love. You know, and I wasn't ready for that. You know, but it molded me to a man. You know, I grew up quick out here.
Yeah. What did so your dad was here?
Yeah, he was here.
Cool,
he was here
cool.
because Cuba's only like 100 miles or something like that, so it's pretty close.
Okay.
So to bring the family from Cuba, and that time it was a little bit easier than now with the immigration laws and everything.
Yeah.
But you know, you pay a couple thousand, get them sent out here, and he brought all of them out here, man.
So what is that? What's that? You say tough love. What does that tough love feel like?
You know, I'm not your friend, I'm your dad. You know, and for a long time I didn't understand that, and it hurt me. You know, I felt like, damn, I want my dad to be my friend. But realizing now as an adult, it's what I needed. You know, not someone that I could, you know, walk over. You know, authority figure. You know, my mother was very like that too. She was strict too, but it's a woman, so it's not the same exact thing. You know.
So that's interesting you say that. When I first moved in, maybe I don't know if it might be a little bit different for me because I moved in with my dad. Excuse me, when I was I think 18 years old, and he tried to give me that tough love, but that was coming from me never being with him. You know what I mean? And we ended up really like
bumping heads and everything, right?
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like we got to like a big ass fist fight. So how'd you take that? Like did you and your dad ever
We bumped heads a lot, man, but my dad I was younger too, and you know, he could whoop my ass.
Yeah.
So it's not like I couldn't go too far with anything, you know, he always stopped it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, my dad whooped my ass. You know, shit was crazy. It was a crazy ass fight. But so what's some of the things that your dad instilled in you as a man? Like what's some values?
Being honest, you know, not being a thief, taking care of the people that love you, being more responsible. You know, just, you know, my dad worked overnight a lot. And when I first moved over there, I used that window for me. My dad didn't have a partner at that time, so I had the whole overnight to myself. I'd hang out, you know, I'd invite females over, invite my boys over, you know, and he'd come home at 5, 6 in the morning. And, you know, he realized he's not a fool. You know, you see I leave things out, this, that, the third, so he got a little more on top of it. And then, you know, what the boxing brought to my life was just something to look forward to, something to keep me out of trouble. Waking up early, so my dad would get home at 5:30, 6 in the morning, sometimes earlier, wake me up, boom, it's time to run. And I didn't have school till 9, because out here in Vegas, school starts at 7. Over here, the elementary, middle, they start around 9. So I was up early because my older brother trained as well. So he'd be up at 5, his school started at 7, so I'd work with him. We'd run this, that, the third, and then I'd play Xbox till like 9 in the morning. And then I'd go to school. I walked to school right there. So it's just really what, you know, he just taught me what it was to just take care of people. You know, and to an extent, because I've always seen him take care of everybody, not take care of himself, and that kind of brushed off into me as well. I put myself as the last priority all the time, and I still have that issue. I'm working on it right now to take care of myself as well, you know.
Okay, cool. So who are you now? Who's the man that I'm looking at?
I mean, I'm still molding, you know. I believe that I still got a lot to work on, self-control, you know, staying away from certain people that don't benefit my life. And that was a hard thing for me because the people that weren't benefiting my life, I loved them. I love hard, you know? So all my friends, I show a lot of love to them. And then even though I'm not getting nothing in return, that I shouldn't, I don't look for it, but I should get, not monetary things, more like, you know, support, you know, good advice. I've always clicked with older people than me from a young age. So I'd hang out with older kids and their mentality wasn't where my mind should be at. I wasn't to that level yet, if you know what I'm trying to say. Like, you know, so I was misguided a lot. And by older people, you know, even at a young age, you know, like I was 18, 19, I'd be around 25, 26 years old, and it's a different age bracket, you know, so I'm picking up on things I shouldn't pick up on, and I try to, you know, replicate all that and be like that, and it wasn't me ever, you know, so I feel like now I'm coming out of my shell of who I really am, and it took a lot of work for that.
That's a real epiphany to have. At what age did you realize, like,
I feel like I really got that, like, you know, just a few years ago type of thing, you know, like I'm just realizing. And even though, you know, stats could say different, you know, oh, but you won the National Golden Gloves when you were 18. But around that time, I wasn't doing the best things, you know.
Right.
You know, I wasn't really living to my full potential. And I don't believe I ever did that up until recently. Like now it's like, I'm gonna give myself a real shot at life that I deserve. I deserve to be happy. I deserve to, not necessarily only money, but I deserve everything that comes with it. And that's what I gotta keep instilling in my head, that I'm worthy for it, like sometimes we feel like we don't deserve what's possible, and you gotta really know that you deserve it to get it.
Yeah.
If not, it's not just gonna fall in your lap. So, I had to switch the mindset to just, going, either going with the flow or making my own lane. And I had to make my own lane. And it's been lonely. I just been with my girl in the house. I don't go out. I barely do anything. I'm just at the gym.
Sweet.
And that's how it's gotta be, Sweet. And I find peace in there, Shit, me and my girl cooking at the crib, I feel a lot better than me going out with 6, 7 people. So much peace. Watch a movie, you're chilling, man. And it takes time to actually enjoy that. Because in the beginning, you're like, nah, this shit boring. I'd rather be doing this. I could be doing this. But now it's just, I'm very content with the little things.
That's some grown man shit right there.
I'm trying, man. Yeah, man. Yeah. I'm trying, bro.
Yeah. So, I'm gonna ask this. What's something like, thinking about mistakes, you know what I'm saying? Like, and not a superficial mistake. I mean, I'm talking about like a real deep spiritual mistake that you for sure learned from. Something that like, you got kids, bro?
I don't.
You want kids?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, when you have like a son or a daughter, what's something that you really want them to avoid doing?
Drugs, partying, drinking, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. And what's something that, and also what's something that like you just want to push into them, like
something to be able to speak with me about anything, turn to me as my right-hand man, as their right-hand man, better said. My dad has always been there, and when anything's serious, he has my back. But I lacked being able to communicate, open up to him, because I didn't want to disappoint him. I didn't want him to think I'm soft. You know what I mean? So I try to keep that persona of everything's okay when it wasn't. But I want my kids to just know that they can talk to me about anything. The stupidest thing, the most serious thing. Speaking. That's one thing I've always lacked, was speaking and listening. I've always listened, but I've never like really heard what they were saying. I just listened, take it in mind, and I knew what they're saying. I understand what they're saying, but I never followed those instructions, So one big mistake I made was just not listening to advice. Thinking I knew it all, I regret not listening to a lot of the things my dad told me, because everything he told me, when it unfolds, it turned out to be true. He'd tell me about a friend of mine, for example. He'd be like, I don't really think this guy's good news. I'm like, nah, man, he's cool, this, that. Turns out he wasn't, and if I would have listened, I would have avoided that, I don't want to say heartbreak, it sounds kind of zesty, but yeah, man, you get your heart broken, you know what I mean? You end up feeling like, because at the end of the day, love is love. You have your friends, you love them. Not the same you love your girl, but it's still love. Mm-hmm. And you avoid those heartbreaks, those feelings of betrayal, if you would have just listened. But then again, I feel like I did need to go through those.
You needed to go through it, bro.
Mm-hmm.
Man, I've been through too many of those mistakes. Sometimes a few times of the same one, you know what I'm saying? And it's those mistakes that build the character.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? They built the man. And it lays a foundation for you on like, just on how you just move through life, you know what I'm saying? And so I agree with you, bro. That's something that I for sure want to pass on to my kids, you know what I'm saying? Wow, okay, cool. Let me ask you this, who's the strongest fighter you know?
Personally, or like?
When I say fighter, I mean anybody you thinking about. I mean, it can be in the ring, outside the ring. One
of my favorite fighters, my all-time favorite is James Toney. I've always loved his boxing style, his charisma in the ring. Because boxing isn't just training and hitting somebody. It's a lot more that play into it psychologically. And the way he conducted himself in the ring was just something to admire. But outside the ring, the person I look up to would be Bernard Hopkins. Bernard Hopkins, a monster, man. He got out of prison for boxing. He was boxing in prison. And he got his way out of there and just competing. And ever since he stepped out of prison, he never smoked, never drank, doesn't eat fast food, only drinks water. Just a monster of dedication, man. He's just fighting up until like a year or two ago. He was competing at 51 years old, the oldest champion there was. And, you know, it's just about taking care of himself. So that's something I admire a lot that I'm trying to do myself, not blow up and wait in between camps, eating clean. Instead of celebrating with partying, you celebrate with jacuzzi, a steak. You know what I mean? Like stuff that benefits you at the end.
Mm-hmm. Nice. And what's your goals? Like,
my goal right now
life,
is just to set myself up financially to take care of my family. You know, me and my girlfriend, we have another route when it comes to having kids, so we have to put down bread. You know, we lost a kid, 2 kids recently that were fully, but we had about 4 or 5 miscarriages. So I got to go through it's a different road and it's still possible, but it's just another route I got to take to get there. You know, it's not as simple as just putting in that work. You know, I gotta put down bread and, you know, go through that process. So that's my goal right now. And the way I'm gonna get there is through my career, through boxing. So, you know, I make enough money. My goal, I don't need the biggest house, but I want my own house paid for. You know, I got my car already paid for, so I don't have to worry about that. But, you know, I just want to have everything paid off so I could just enjoy life without worrying about a bill or this or that, you know? So, you know, I pay a house fully, I just pay utilities and whatever the taxes or whatever. But that's my goal right now. Just set myself up there where I don't have to stress.
Damn, bro, that's heavy. How do you deal with, you know, losing? I mean, not 1, but 4.
I mean,
what's if you don't want to talk about it, bro, we can skip it.
I mean, it's part of life, man. You know, you're gonna take losses and things are gonna throw themselves at you. You know, the first few ones, they hurt a lot more. All of them hurt. You know, the last one was worse because the last 2, matter of fact, because we had to go through ectopic surgery, it's called, where they had to remove her tube, and she almost died in my arms. You know, going to the hospital, her tube ruptured, boom. So she started internally bleeding. She started fainting. I took a sleeping medication, Advil PM, to sleep. And when that happened, I was like, oh my gosh, she's there fainting, just out of it. I had to carry her into the hospital. The hospital wasn't trying to like help at the moment. They didn't know what was going on. I'm there yelling at them, this, that, and I'm half asleep. You know what I mean? It was just a more traumatizing experience than anything, you know? And then what comes after that, it's harder. Because as a man, I've learned to kind of, which isn't good, but I've learned to like push things to the side and just keep working. But my girlfriend didn't handle it the same way. So it was just, you know, it was hard on both of us everywhere.
Did it kind of make your, once again, bro, if I'm pushing too much, just say switch the subject, all right? Did it kind of affect y'all's relationship? Like, I mean, obviously,
I think it probably brought us closer at the end of the day because, you know, through everything, we've always had each other's back, you know. But it was definitely something that it just hurts, you know, but that's just life, you know. And that happened right before our fight. We had a fight April, I believe, 18th. And that week before, that whole situation happened. So it was going into a fight with kind of a shitty mentality, you know. But just like anything, you know, let's say you have a job, you work Monday through Friday and some tragic cousin passed away on Saturday or something, and you got to go to work Monday because you got bills to pay Friday, you know? So it's just we had to get it done, and we got it done. We got the win, but it didn't feel like a win, if you know what I mean.
Yeah,
it didn't feel like I won.
Damn, so I'm gonna ask the question again. Who's the strongest fighter you know? You just hit me with something.
You know, I mean, bro,
you know,
I feel like everybody has those battles. You know, like they have something eating them alive, man. There's people with eating disorders. There's people with drug addictions. There's people with I lost my best friend early this year as well, in February. My best friend, every day we were together 5 years. He passed away. Then after that, it was the baby. Everything was at once.
Yeah.
But if that happens to me, it's not just me. Everybody goes through similar things, you know? And at that moment, maybe I didn't handle it the best way. I kind of blocked everything out, everything. And, you know, I didn't give, you know, even my lady the most attention dealing with what we were dealing through because I had to block out my best friend passing. I had a fight coming up. I had to cut weight, 20, 30 pounds. I got everything at once. But at the end of the day, it worked. It all worked out eventually.
Did you kind of use boxing as a way to get away? Like, is that like your hiding tool or like?
The way I look at boxing now isn't the same way I looked at it as a kid. Now it's more business.
It's business.
You know, because this is, you know, one, like we were speaking about earlier, you know, a loss could really affect your career and how you level up after that. You know, so right now I got to protect my career at all costs because this is what's going to provide my life. You know, like, so like right now I'm fighting for my life. You know, it's not really fighting for a belt, this, that, which when it comes, it'll be beautiful, but my main goal is just fight, keep fighting, and make a living off this, you know, and then eventually pass the torch.
Well, I mean, shit, you getting there, bro. 8-0.
Yeah.
You know, you say you had 80 amateur fights.
About, yeah.
What was your record on the amateurs?
I lost 11.
Lost 11, okay.
Which in the amateurs is normal. You know, you're competing at high levels, national tournaments, you fight 4 or 5 times day after day, you know, it's only 3 rounds as well. So a lot of the times you know, you could pick up too late, for example. You start picking up end of the second, third round, you might have won, but you still lost the first or second. It's quick work, you know, so anything can really happen. But all my losses were in high level competitions, the finals of the nationals. Everything was pretty much, you know, competitive. I've never lost a fight where you'd be like, yeah, he lost.
Yeah.
You know, they lost, like, he could have won, you know what I'm saying? But I didn't earn it.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, cool. Well, yeah, man, it seemed like you on the up and up, man, and usually, you know, and when you do get to where you're trying to go, you got a great story behind you that I'm sure, like, all type of companies, ESPN and the boxing, whatever, you know what I mean, they're gonna wanna grab a hold of. So, you know.
I hope so, man. I hope
you know
so.
what I'm saying? I really do pray you make it, because those are the things that keep you flowing, you know what I'm saying? There's a story behind you, you know.
Yeah, that's the fuel, man. You know, that's the fuel to keep going.
Exactly.
And it's crazy you say that, because that's always something I told myself. You know, any crazy shit that would happen in my life or anything negative, you know, I've never lost hope. You know, I've always just told myself those exact words, just part of the story. You know? And there's a saying in Spanish, they'd be like, a samurai don't die like that. Like, you know, so I'm not gonna not die like that, but just die in the sense of, like, not folding. You know, like, he ain't gonna go out like that type of thing. You know, so I always knew that there was a light at the end of the tunnel. You know.
So, damn, bro. I knew I was gonna get something out of you. I was like, who's the strongest fighter? He said Bernard. I'm like, nah, brother, it's something else, man. I know.
You know, I can't say that though, man, because there's people that deal with a lot of things as well.
Yeah, but it's you though. It's your story. You feel me? Like, it's yours, bro, and that's why we here. That's why I want to talk about it. You know, because this is, like you said, there's somebody else that, you know, that probably done got it worse, but it's your worst.
Yeah.
And you know,
sure.
and that's why I was saying, like, I want to get the word out there so that, you know, you can be a blessing to somebody that you don't even know. You know, I mean, I don't know. A lot of people gonna view my shit, but whoever gonna view it is gonna be meant to be heard.
I mean, I hope so, man. I hope it could impact somebody positively, so they could keep just chasing their dream, whether it's boxing, school, basketball, anything they want to do, but it's all the same concept at the end. You know, when you got a lot of pressure on you, it brings a lot of anxiety. You know, let's say you come short, it could bring depression. You know, mental health is real, man, you know, and you got to take care of it. You know, you lose that mentality of keep fighting, no matter what's going on, man. You could have issues, addictions, this, that, but if you give up, it's over. You know, like, it's just over. You're not giving yourself a real shot at life. You know, and life is bigger than just sports. You know, it's a lot bigger than school. It's a lot bigger than everything, because you can have everything and still feel like nothing. Yeah. You know, and I've been in that position where, you know, I got signed to a great company and I wasn't content with myself. With why? You know, there's people that tell me, bro, you got a life everybody wants. I didn't like it. I didn't appreciate it. You know, so now I'm just working on being more grateful to myself and life. You know, like, nothing is going to be easy, but if you appreciate the things that are in front of you, you could get through life a lot easier. You know, I started realizing I got both my parents. It's a blessing. A lot of people don't. You know, I got a gym I could train every day. I got food in the fridge. I got a car to drive. You know, instead of looking at what I don't got, appreciate what you do have. Because then that's when you start just putting things into perspective. You know, because once you look at only the negative things, if I look at every bad thing in my life that happened, I'm going to be miserable. Amen. Just hate myself, man. So it's like, I start looking at the positive things, and it takes a while, man, because it's so easy to find the bad things in yourself. So easy. We're always our worst critic, but we don't see the good things we have. You know, but everybody else do. You know, it could be my girl telling me something positive on myself. I'm like, really? Instead of just being like, that's true, I still doubt it. You know what I mean? Because those are the thoughts I have towards myself, but nobody else see it. So it's really just a war within yourself you got to beat. You know, before you beat somebody else, or you win a competition, or you get the best of your class, or you get a degree or whatever, you got to beat yourself. You know what I mean? It's the long nights that you got to put into to study, to this. My days you don't want to study, my days you don't want to train. And there's days I come in here and I just take my shit off. I'm not feeling it, you know, but got to keep coming. You know, if I show up every day, I know I'll get something out of it. Same thing with everything. No matter how you're feeling, just show up.
Amen, bro. Amen. Damn, bro. Damn. Okay. What is your word of advice, bro, to people who have things that are compared to your story with the loss of your best friend, the miscarriages, like, what's your word of advice to people who are going through things similar to that? How would you help them?
Be the person you want them to see you as. You know, how you want...
Elaborate on that.
So, like, you know, for example, my son, let's say, I want him to see his dad as somebody strong, keep pushing forward. Because if he were here, I can't keep fucking up because I got to change everything. So I got to act as if he were here. If my best friend, if he's looking down on me, you know, I want him to know that I'm good here. Because I don't want him thinking I'm fucking up down here. And I know it's not what he'd want. You know, the day I go, I don't want nobody down here losing their life over what happened. Because it just happens. You know, life is gonna life. You know, but it's just matter of fact, just staying locked in, man, staying away from bad people, stay away from drugs because they don't help you at all. You know, stay away from, what do they call that? Fast
food.
Yeah, that's what he's thinking about. Stay away from fast food. It ain't gonna help you either. Nah, it's quick. What do they call that, man? Where you get happy with quick things. Like, you know, like let's say you drink a beer. It's quick satisfaction. I forgot the exact name.
Dopamine.
Nah, it's just
Impulsive decisions,
but easy, instant gratification.
Instant gratification.
You know, so avoid those because none of that shit work. Yeah, man. Fast food, I'm here thinking of Wendy's and shit. But no, like, you know, just avoid instant gratification because it's never good. You know, anything like Bob Marley said, if it comes easy, it ain't good. And if it's good, it won't come easy. You know, so, you know, if something like that's helping you super quick, it's probably not the long-term thing you need. You know what I mean? So if you have bad habits to shake back how you're feeling, avoid them. You know, like with training, it taught me a lot because just look at boxing itself. You box one night, they see that one night, but they don't see everything you did leading up to that night.
Yeah.
You know, they don't see the hunger you got to pass if you got to cut weight. They don't see the long nights you got to be running late night. You got to build up your cardio. You got to take hits in sparring. And the next day you probably beat up, but you still got to show up. So they go through camps, a training camp to win a night. You know, and then if you want to go deeper than that, it takes years to get to that point to even be in a training camp. So right now I've been training since 11. I'm 28. More than half my life I've been in a pair of boxing gloves.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like, it led that to here. It wasn't just a 3-month training camp that got me to win this night. What is that, 18 years?
Yeah.
You know, that it led to that. You know, because it's like you look at these boxing movies, Creed, right? Fucking heavy as hell, isn't that 2 months, or not even 2 months, 2 weeks, he took a title fight and now he's winning. It ain't real.
Yeah, that ain't shit.
You know, it's just not gonna happen. That's why I don't like those movies, bro. I can't watch that shit, man.
Yeah.
It's just not realistic, you know, but that's just how it is, man. People don't know how much work you got to put in to get something, and they get scared by that. So what do? They look for shortcuts, and shortcuts never work. You know, so that's something I would definitely say is, you know, don't look for shortcuts, and just grind, man. Just keep your head up and work. Well, whatever it is. You know, I don't like to just say boxing because my story might be different in that sense, but at the end of the day, if we could be in two different fields, but if we have one goal, we have the same objective, is to get to that goal. How do you get there? Similar steps, you know? Different questions, but the same answers to the test, you know? That's how I see it.
Amen. All right, man. When's your next fight?
So right now we're looking at March, early March, late February. So I'm just getting back into training now. The last fight was August 22nd. It was going to be my first main event, 10-rounder in Mexico. against a good fighter. He was 12-3, I believe. It was going to be for a little Latin international belt. So with that one, it would have ranked me at a higher position to keep getting more fights, and that was a big setback for us. It was a real big setback for me and my household and everything because, you know, counting on that, and it just happened. You know, injuries happen. I had to just accept it.
Yeah.
I didn't want to, you know. It was very stressful for me.
Yeah. You know where the fight's going to be at?
No idea yet. I don't have a date, but that's just my manager was speaking to me, was saying I'm looking at early March, we could lock in a date. So like, you know, right now what I'm doing is like a pre-camp. So every day I'm training a little bit, and then me training the kids as well is keeping me active. I'm sweating every day, you know, on top of what I do before that. So I do my training sessions, just very, very simple. You know, like easy things, shadow boxing, hitting the bag, head movements, sit-ups. I just started a little bit of strength training last week, try to build up the strength a bit, but nothing too heavy. Just getting the motions again. You know, 2-3 months on the couch, bro, it does something to you.
Yeah,
you know, I wasn't able to either. It's not that I didn't want to, I couldn't. So it was like a real big little mental setback that I've never been like this out of training. I've always been locked in for years.
Hey, bro, I'm dealing with that right now. I picked up 50 pounds messing with her, you know what I mean? I'm 220, never been 220 in my life. I've always been around 175, 180. And it's a big shift.
Yep.
I can't, when I hit the gym, I can't get back into it like I can anymore. My hips is all stuck and tight. I ain't lifting heavy like I used to. It's just everything different. So
it's easy to stop, right? Like it's so quick to just say, I'm not gonna work out today because it's been so long that you haven't been in that routine. So right now I'm doing that same fight, bro. I'm here telling myself I gotta do it. Whether I'm hurt, I'm tired, I'm sore, I gotta do something just to try to keep that momentum going. So I'm sure it's very similar when it comes to the weight. You do one session, you feel like you got it. And then the next day you're like, shit, I went too hard. You know what I'm saying?
You almost got me today, though, bro.
Nah, not gonna lie. I said one round, but we hit like 7 minutes straight.
You saw me, I was like about to throw up in the ring. I had to walk out, man. I was like, God damn, he got me good.
Yeah, we put some good work in, man.
Yeah, that was some good work, bro. You got some good advice, man. Shit. Cool. Last question, brother. I'm gonna say this and you repeat it back to me in your own words. Not all fighters are in the ring. I know you said a lot and you already went over it, but this, I want you to speak about this specifically. You know what I mean? Not all fighters in the ring. When you hear that, what comes to your heart?
So, I mean, like we said previously, you know, like the most important fight isn't in the ring or with anybody, it's with yourself. And, you know, sometimes you get knocked down, you know, like situations happen. You lose a job, you lose a family member, you lose a friend, you lose a child, you lose a lot in life, you know, but you gotta fight that fight first before you can do anything else. You can't just become a multimillionaire businessman without going through the steps, you know, so just keep going through the steps because eventually it'll have some light in the tunnel, and if it doesn't, you find another route, but it's just not giving up. But yeah, no, for sure, the biggest fight is always with ourselves.
Okay. All right, actually, one more question. Right now, in your current state, what's your biggest fight?
My biggest fight right now is, I want
you to think deeply about it, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, my biggest fight right now is loving myself, you know, appreciating myself, you know, not harming myself with anything negative that I shouldn't be doing at this point in my life, you know, from experience of as a younger, you know, we go through these stages, but sometimes these stages prolong themselves. You know, not saying anything necessarily about me with addiction or anything, but just as an example, people with addiction, they know they party as a young age, they don't stop till now. I crossed that hunch a while ago, but it's just part of it, you know, so yeah. You know, just loving myself, man, appreciating myself, speaking positively to myself. You know, words are powerful. And if you keep speaking negatively on yourself about anything, you know, you start to believe it. And those are not the things you want to believe. You know, so right now I'm working on just speaking life into myself. No one else could do it for you, man. They do, but you won't listen to somebody else as much as you listen to yourself when you're speaking to yourself. You know what I mean? So that's how I see it.
Well, what's some of the things you say to speak to yourself?
You know, you're worthy, you know, you deserve this, you work hard, you know, you're valuable, you're an asset to everybody around you, you know, you bring light to everybody around you, you know, I don't like people around me, they always speak positive around me. I've never got a negative feedback about myself. And if they are, they're haters because of some other shit, you know? But not because of who I am. I've never had a negative, response of people who met me. I've always been positive. Everybody loves me. Everybody gets along with me. Since a kid, my mom always said that, everybody's loved you since a young one. And, I believe that there's a purpose for that. It's not just they just like me because they like me. They see something in me maybe I didn't see in myself. They see the energy positive. I like to uplift everybody. And like I was saying before, sometimes we uplift everybody else so much we forget about the person that matters the most in our life. It's us. At the end of the day, if you can't take care of yourself, you can't take care of nobody.
Amen. It's beautiful.
Amen.
Thank you, bro.
Thank you, brother.